The Dragonette Prophecy. When the war has lasted 20 years, the Dragonettes will come. When the land is soaked in blood and tears, the Dragonettes will come. Find the sea-wing egg of deepest blue, wings of night shall come to you. The largest egg in mountain high will give to you the wings of sky. For wings of earth, search through the mud for an egg the color of dragon blood. And hidden alone from the rival queens, the sandwing egg awaits unseen. Of 3 queens who blister and blaze and burn, 2 shall die and 1 shall learn. If she bows to a fate that is stronger and higher, she'll have the power of wings of fire. 5 eggs to hatch on brightest night, 5 dragons born to end the fight. Darkness will rise to bring the light. The Dragonettes are coming.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special guest back on my channel. This is Sean, my boyfriend. And today we're going to be doing a wrap-up of Arc 1 of the Wings of Fire series by Tui T. Sutherland. So that is books 1 through 5.
Yes.
And I just want to put out a huge spoiler warning right here because we have no filter and we're not going to stop from saying spoilers. So this entire video is going to be spoilers.
Also, don't go read the wiki like I did, because I didn't think I was going to like the books initially. So I was like, ooh, this is a neat story. I want to find out what the ending is. So I read all of the wiki pages. The books are much better than the wiki pages.
So read the books is what we're saying.
Alright, so plot summary of Arc 1. These 5 books all sum up into the story of the Sandwing War of Succession. So we start off with our wonderful friend Clay, the hungry hero, and the Dragonettes under the mountain. They escape from under the mountain and go on a merry adventure across all of the kingdoms, filled with rainbows, sunshine, and nothing bad happening whatsoever. No, it's more like a blood trail all the way across the continent that ends in pretty much exactly what the prophecy says, of 2 of the dead Sandwing sisters, and 1 not dead but also not queen.
Yes. Yeah. So how we got into the Wings of Fire series is an interesting story. So in summer of 2020, we were just starting to be in a relationship, and one of the big things that he was interested in at the time was the first book of the Wings of Fire series. And he was really excited about it. He was telling me all about it and trying to explain it to me. And I'm like, I don't really understand what you're saying because I don't get the plot or what's happening. I don't even know who the tribes are or anything. So I was like, you know what? I should just read the book because then I will understand better what you're trying to say. So I read the first one on audio and I became obsessed. So we basically just decided to read the whole series, and it took us a while to get through the first arc, but we were obsessed, and now the rest is history, and we've read the entire series and we are super fans. So
I guess I should go through how I actually got into the book.
Yeah, you can.
Because that was the source for you.
Yeah.
I stumbled across it, I think it was on Instagram actually. I was scrolling through a bunch of memes. I'm someone who loves everything mythical and magical, so dragons are always a favorite of mine. And I saw actually a piece of art of the Skywing Arena from book 1, and I figured, that sounds pretty interesting. Let's see what this is all about. And that's when I started reading the wiki. But yeah, I looked into it a little bit. I was like, this actually sounds pretty neat for what's a middle grade book series. I also, up to this, before this, wasn't really reading for pleasure much. I've been in college for a while, so most of my reading has been computer science textbooks and calculus textbooks, which is not exactly the most fun reading.
No.
But I picked this up and was just like, I'm gonna go buy the first book, and I read it in about a day and maybe a few hours.
Yeah.
And we was trying desperately to explain it to you, and I was just like, alright, whatever, we're gonna listen to the intro, because the prologue to this book is pretty intense.
Oh, it's a lot.
So I just was like, so in case you're not sold, we're going to listen to the prologue to prove to you that this isn't just any other book about dragons.
Yes. So that's a perfect segue into the prologue of Book 1, The Dragonette Prophecy.
The Dragonette Prophecy. This book starts off with quite the opener to an entire series. Especially for a middle grade book. We really were wondering, is this really middle grade?
Yeah, it's very violent right from the start, and we were kind of like, I get that this is marketed towards middle grade, but it could kind of be YA. It's like right on the cusp.
Well, I think they get away with it because they're not people. Although,
right.
I mean, I say that, but literally like 4 chapters, 5, 6, maybe 8 chapters later, there's a person that gets absolutely obliterated by Scarlet. So it takes place in the caves under the Skywing Kingdom to start, where we get our introduction to the characters, which is really appreciated because it's a closed, small environment to actually get to know.
There's a lot of world building that happens in Book 1, and it doesn't feel overwhelming or like we're being kind of thrown into this world. Tui does a really good job.
The characters are also being thrown into the world.
Right, so it makes sense for us to be getting new information.
Yes.
Instead of that kind of like clunky thing that I think happens a lot in fantasy, where the characters are fully familiar with their world, but you're kind of getting all that introduction and it doesn't fit into the story.
Yeah.
But she does a great job of introducing, you know, all of the world and the systems of magic that come up later. Yeah, it feels very natural and not forced at all.
But we start out under the mountain, and then we escape into the Sky Kingdom. And escape. Escape.
Heavy quotations.
And end up in the Skywing Palace at the arena, which is what originally got me into the series. But it's basically this gladiatorial arena that Queen Scarlet, the Queen of the Skywings, runs for her amusement, which is quite the continuation of the theme of this is a pretty bloody book.
Yes.
But while we're there, we encounter one of my favorite characters and one of someone else's least favorite characters.
Her name is Peril, and I think that she is the epitome of plot convenience. She will basically burn anything she touches.
Yes.
And our good friend Clay, who's the main character of Book 1, he cannot be, well, he can be burned, but he heals really quickly, I guess, is it what that is?
Very resistant to heat.
Yes, so it's possible for him to feel pain if he's burnt, but it's not the same as another dragon getting burned. So basically they end up sort of being together in this book, not 100%, but it feels like plot convenience to me. So
it feels like an adorable relationship to me.
Plot convenience.
Made for each other. So, while we're in the Skywing Kingdom, we also get an introduction to one of the 3 sisters. Byrne is kind of the most, like, characteristically evil of the 3, with just going and allying with Scarlet, another one of those wonderfully, actually just purely evil characters with no real justification. Right. This is one thing I do appreciate about the book is the evil characters. Some of them, the ones who we are explained why they act the way that they do, we get a really good explanation for.
Yeah. The
ones that don't explain it, they're just bad. They don't have some tragic backstory, trademark, or anything else that makes them, you know, oh, I'm justified in being so bad to everyone around me. It's just that they are evil.
Right. I mean,
fine.
Tui has a range of characters that are villains who, some of them are like that kind of paper cutout bad guy kind of villain. And then there is that, you know, other side of it where you get like Darkstalker, another character who comes up later.
Who everyone still argues about whether he's really that bad or not.
Right, which, you know, goes to show that she can create a character that you can almost justify every horrible action that he does until the very end. So yeah, I really appreciate that range of, you know, her ability to create different kinds of characters.
But anyway, back to Scarlet and Byrne. They are 2 of the kind of just characteristically, we are bad guys characters, where Scarlet has her wonderful arena of death and murder with her champion of Peril.
Yes.
And Byrne is the most brutal of the three of the Sandwing sisters,
Yeah.
and she
has the stronghold.
We don't actually spend a ton of time with Byrne, but
No.
you know,
Enough to understand that she's bad. That
we don't like her.
Yeah. So this is an interesting part of book one. When I first read book one, I immediately put Clay, our main character, and my favorite character, Glory, together. Yeah, that's what Glory looks like. I put them together as a couple because there were so many moments where they were just really cute together, and they really seemed like they had this kind of flirtatious dynamic happening.
Well, we should probably explain real quick. Glory is, so if you just listen to me read the prophecy and don't recognize Glory as a Skywing.
Right. Glory is a
I mean, you should know this because you've read the books.
Right?
But in the event that you haven't, the Skywing egg is broken in the prologue, so that's what the prologue goes over. And Glory is a Rainwing who Webb's got as a substitute for the Skywing egg. And Glory kind of gets beat up by Kestrel a lot for not being a Skywing. So
right.
Clay stands up for Glory all of the time.
Yes. So it could definitely be argued that it is, you know, just a friendship thing, and it does end up being that way. But just having read book one, I was really in that, like, belief that Clay and Glory were going to be a thing. And it ended up that, you said, right,
yes.
that the author actually in an interview
Q&A and
yeah, and she said that originally she thought, or she was planning on having Clay and Glory be a couple, but then later on she decided she wanted to take a different kind of avenue with each of those characters and their independent relationships, and she ended up sort of moving away from that kind of slowly. In book two, we get a little bit more of that dynamic, but you start to see her kind of move away from that and towards the new love interest for Glory. Yep. Which is appreciated, but I was not wrong to see some kind of connection with Clay and Glory, so I'm very happy about that.
Clay and Peril is just better.
I am much happier with who Glory ends up with in the end, but I was very disappointed for a while before I realized who she was going to end up with. So,
to not delay any further, but the book one is a very good introduction to the series, but it's actually not our favorite book of all of them. It introduces the world in a perfect manner to get you involved and interested, but not overwhelmed with information. The characters are kind of held on a tight leash, almost literally.
Yeah.
And they don't have full freedom to explore, but they do have enough freedom to feel like you are now in this world. Book 2.
This one follows Tsunami, and she's a Sea Wing, and she has a serious she has a serious superiority complex, and she believes that she is a princess from book 1, from the beginning. And it turns out that she is in fact a princess when she goes back.
This out at the end of book 1.
When she goes back to her kingdom, she meets her mother, who's the queen, and yeah, all of the things that she believed and hoped to be true were actually true.
Her favorite story was even about her.
Exactly. She's a very angry character, for sure. My note says, Tsunami, calm the fuck down.
Yes. She's kind of a bitch to everyone
Yeah,
else.
she's kind of a bitch, but, you know, we love that for her.
For a while.
For a while. She's so extra. She is so extra.
And the fact that she kind of just, like, abandons her friends for, like, the first 2 parts of this book.
Yeah, she just leaves her friends and is like, oh, I'm gonna go be a princess now.
Each of these books covers kind of the development of the character. We didn't really talk about Clay much in book 1.
Well, the thing with Clay is that we don't get a ton of development of his character because it is so focused on world building and introducing the characters that Clay sort of stays pretty much the same throughout. And there's
it grows a little bit.
Yeah, there's a small amount of character development because at the end he meets his family who he's been like hoping to meet for so long, and they're not what he expected, which is also a theme in this book, in the series overall. Families not being what, you know, the characters expected. So you get that sort of growth for him, but even though we're in his head, there's not a lot of development compared to the other characters. Because Tsunami, we get to see her go from this very angry and superiority kind of character
to slightly less angry.
To slightly less.
Slightly less superior.
Right. It's not a huge, you know,
She doesn't do a
arc.
180 entirely, but she definitely
But there is growth.
develops.
Yes, and it is interesting too to get the different perspectives.
You're a third person, you're not like seeing things from the character's perspective, but you're definitely inside of their head and hearing their inner monologue.
Yeah, so I would say kind of third person over the shoulder of the characters. Because it still is third person, but you're getting so much of their thoughts and their emotions and their motivations that it really feels, you know, personal and intimate to that character. It doesn't feel like this, like, omniscient narrator situation.
Yes. We start off with finding Kestrel dead pretty close to the beginning. We find out that, well, we knew from the epilogue of book 1, but the characters, well, Tsunami specifically finds out that Kestrel ended up catching dead after the end of book 1, where it was Blister and Marosier done diddly stabbed her to death.
Yes.
Tsunami is with Queen Coral when they find Kestrel's body, and she starts to like, ooh, things are not quite as they seem. Like, I'm not quite as good at stuff as I thought.
No.
And then kind of one of the bigger moments that happens is while they're at this Sea Wing palace, they're sitting around at this council meeting talking about things and all of the events that happened in the Skywing Kingdom.
Yes.
Kind of as a result of what our friends did. And Tsunami finds out that she killed her dad.
In the arena.
In the arena.
She didn't realize it at the time, but she was just fighting another Sea Wing who had been deprived of water for a very long time, and who had gone pretty much insane because of that. So she wasn't even, you know, thinking anything other than, I need to survive this, and my one way to do that is to kill this dragon. And it ended up being her father. So that is kind of a big...
Remember,
tragedy.
This is a middle grade book.
Yeah, this is a middle grade book.
So yeah, she was pretty shook from that.
Yes.
Her being shook from that did not last long enough, nearly, in the series.
Yeah. You'd think there'd be a little
more of that. She kind of brushed over that relatively quickly, but did kind of start her growth.
Yeah, but it is understandable considering, you know, the middle grade nature of these books is to not focus so much on
tragedy, as much as it does happen in this book series. Another thing that's a source of her development is someone else that she meets.
She meets, it's a funny story of how they meet, but she meets this character named Riptide, and that's the first Sea Wing that she meets in the Sea Kingdom. So she's not technically in the Sea Kingdom, she's just in the ocean, and she sees this...
Might as well be the Sea Kingdom.
Well, yeah. But she meets this dragon, and he's like being really strange, and then he starts lighting up all of his scales, and she's like, I can do that too. So then she starts lighting up all her scales. And she doesn't realize until she actually talks to Riptide that the scales are the way of communicating for them under the ocean.
Basically, Tsunami, being the way she is, tries to imitate whatever Riptide was doing.
Yes, and it ends up that she said...
Riptide kind of charges at her, and then they attack each other. So she attacked the first Sea Wing that she actually saw, besides Webs. But
it turns out that she was saying all kinds of crazy things to Riptide, and basically said that she was, like, in love with him, really inadvertently, and he's like, I'm confused, but also I'm here for that. And then, you know, he says, didn't you say all these things? And she's like, no, I did not. What are you talking about? And it's just a very funny interaction between the two of them that starts this sort of... I don't really think in this book we get, like, a confirmation that they're, like, dating or together or whatever the equivalent is in the world. But it's pretty close. And you can make that inference that they are, you know, together. And they're so cute. I love them so much.
So, as part of Tsunami's development, we kind of get this conflict between Tsunami and Starflight. So Starflight is the Nightwing. And Marosier is the one who delivered the prophecy of the Dragonette Prophecy. He's very much still alive throughout these books. Well, the main motivator for them leaving the cave in the first book is a visit from Marosier when he's not super happy with what's going on. His prophecy ain't going right in his mind. Basically, Marosier takes Starflight off to the side at some point and basically tells him that he has to be in charge of the group. So Tsunami, being very strong-headed in general, is used to being in charge. And now Starflight's trying to be in charge. And everyone's kind of mad at Tsunami for some things that she did in the beginning of the book. So they kind of just listen to Starflight, and this makes Tsunami even more mad. So there's a bit of a conflict there, and that's kind of one of the reasons why she kind of, like, pushes friends to side for a little bit.
Yeah. And another kind of power struggle that we see in this book is between Tsunami and Glory, because in this world, in Pyria, all of the main leaders are female dragons. That's something we didn't talk about, but all of they're all led by queens, not kings. And so in this group of the 5 of them, there is sort of a power struggle between Tsunami, who is this kind of natural leader and wants to lead them, and Glory, who isn't necessarily trying to lead, but she is very sarcastic, and she is like a little bit combative with Tsunami. So there is a lot of a struggle of, you know, who is really in charge and who has the power in this group. And I do enjoy the fact that it is kind of between these 2 female dragons, and it's not, you know, Clay or Starflight just being like, yeah, I'm gonna head up this, you know.
Yeah, Clay
group.
is like the least leader of the whole
right,
group.
which is
and
Starflight
kind of is the second least leader of the whole group,
yes.
even though he's trying
adorably,
but not working very well. We do meet the second sister in this book. We meet Blister, and she is as maniacal and conniving as it gets.
Yeah, she's definitely the, like, smart sister of the 3 of them. And, you know, she isn't really focused on brute force. She's more focused on scheming and plotting and figuring out the best ways to manipulate other dragons to get them to do what she wants.
Yes. If the 3 of them had to get into a locked room, Byrne would break the door down, Blister would pick the lock, and Blaze would try and charm a guard into letting her in, but probably fail because she forgot what she was doing.
That's a perfect description.
We also get introduced to something else pretty important throughout the series in this book. There's a lot of stuff happens in these books. We are barely brushing the surface of everything.
Yes.
And it's still going to be a long video. But we get introduced to Animus Magic.
Yes. And Animus Magic is their version of, like, general magic, of, like, you can do anything with it, basically.
Literally anything.
Literally anything.
So we do meet our first Animus, though, of an enemy.
An enemy.
An enemy. Is an Animus Sea-Wing. We also get introduced to Orca, who is another Sea-Wing Animus that is now dead.
Yes.
One of Queen Coral's other daughters. Who
challenged Coral, and Coral killed her, which is also just a really fucked up way that they transfer power. They have to kill their mothers. That's just great. Okay, on to book 3. I really love this one. It follows Glory, my favorite character in the whole series. And she, as we said before, is a rainwing, so we get a lot of time in the rainforest, which is so beautiful and fun. And what I really like about this book in terms of the perspective is, from the exterior, Glory looks like someone who is just very sarcastic and kind of angry sometimes, but not like the way that Tsunami is angry. She just doesn't seem like a character who has a lot of worries and those kind of feelings. She just seems very, like, funny.
Yeah, kind of nonchalant and kind of like Teflon of nothing sticks, everything brushes off like water.
Yes, and so when we get into her head in this book, we hear how much she fears not fitting in.
Well, she's a lot less secure in herself than what she comes off as. So because a lot of her her problems go back to the fact that she's not actually in this prophecy. The rest of the group has their destiny kind of set out before them. They're all part of the prophecy.
Kestrel especially, always told her that she was lazy and useless.
Lazy rainwing.
So she has a lot of that, like, she needs to kind of overcompensate and prove to everyone that she's not that.
Yes.
So there is a lot of that dynamic as well.
One of the things that kind of is a persistent theme throughout what gets to her is, in the first book, when they're in the Sky Kingdom, you know, the Rainwings are the prettiest of all the dragons. So Scarlet keeps Glory as kind of like a piece of fancy artwork in her throne room. She's allowed to eat and sun as much as she wants and just be a lazy Rainwing for a while.
Yeah.
And she, you know, this is kind of the best she's felt in, you know, the whole time she's been alive. She's just relaxing and being enjoyed for just existing. And that kind of haunts her because she feels like it wasn't right what was going on. She didn't like how her friends were being treated, but she does still have memories of enjoying just having food and being able to relax and not be responsible for anything and not have to worry about some mythical prophecy and being a part and fitting in and all of that. She just had to sit and be pretty.
I think this book has one of the best kind of developments of character out of any of the books, because we really see, like I said, all of her internal concerns and fears, and we see her transform from that kind of dragon to a character who is a queen and has to lead 2 tribes.
A lot quite in this book.
A lot happens in this book, but...
But yes, a lot does happen, and instead of Tsunami becoming queen, Glory becomes a queen.
So really she won.
So after some unfortunate events at the Seawing Palace this time, our group of 5 decide to escape to the one neutral kingdom in the entirety of Pyria, the rainforest. And everyone believes they're neutral because they just don't care. Yes. And they're kind of right. They just don't care. So they enter the rainforest, and it's this terrifying, spooky place full of screaming monkeys and shadows moving and dark. So they're a bit spooked, and then they start disappearing. They're standing there and they turn around, like Glory turns around and one of them's gone, turns around again, the next one's gone.
Yeah.
She's like, what going on here?
So apparently Rainwings have darts that they can just yeet everybody with.
Sleeping darts.
Sleeping darts.
And so they drag everyone back to the Rainforest Kingdom. And we find out the Rainwings are pretty much a bunch of hippies.
Yeah, yep. We get to meet her brother, Glory's brother, Jambu.
The Rainwings, they are a communal tribe, so they don't, like, do family relationships or things like that.
Which is much different than, like, the other kingdoms have, like, the very strict, like, royal lineage, and you have to know who's related to who, so that we can have, like, the next queen and all of that. And the Rainwings are like,
we don't really care.
Fine.
They have like 5 queens, actually.
Right, they like rotate queens.
Rainwings raise all of the young communally, so they don't really have a familial relationship. So the way that they know if they're related to each other is if their venom cancels the other one's venom out, then they're related. So they do that little test, and that's how they find out that Jambu is Glory's brother.
Jambu is the dragon equivalent of a stoner.
Pretty much.
And a hippie. He is bright pink, which is hilarious. We are back. We had to take an intermission.
Technical difficulties.
Battery died, so we got caffeinated, so this will be extra fun.
I had something with what, 2 shots of espresso? So
there's another... I don't know if you would even call it a character.
I think it's a character.
A minor character.
As Bumblebee is.
So I am obsessed with sloths, and I have been for a long time. And in the rainforest, it is commonplace for the dragons to have pet sloths. So there's this one sloth that just like comes and wants to hang out with Glory, and she's like, what is this? I don't know how I feel about this. I don't want this.
Some small creature is crawling on me.
Yeah, she was like not a fan. And then
so
over time...
one thing to mention about the Glory is she's not very comfortable with like touching.
Okay, thanks. So she's not super comfortable with that, and I guess Silver kind of, which is the sloth, kind of helps her to get accustomed to that a little bit.
He just goes like this.
Yeah, and wraps around, and it's so cute. And the sloth makes all these noises, too, that are, like, the best. It's, like, flurble and curble and things like that.
If you listen to the audiobook, they voice all of the sloth's vocalizations.
Oh my god, it's so cute. So, I just want to talk about my favorite relationship in the series, and it is Glory and her love interest, Deathbringer. And they are the cutest couple in the entire series, I think. And it's funny because when we read them originally, I really connected with Glory's character, and you really hadn't connected with any characters like super intensely up to that point, right?
Not really. I had like some similar characteristics to Clay in certain ways, but not really.
Not fully. And then we met Deathbringer, and he was like, oh.
The most handsome and charming.
Yes, exactly. The charisma, the ego. So, yeah.
It comes with being a pilot.
Yeah. But yeah, they're so cute, and the way that they meet is hilarious. Do you want to talk about how they meet?
Yes. So I just actually read the scene while we were in our intermission.
To refresh the memory a little bit.
But basically they meet because the crew is going from the rainforest. They go to the Ice Kingdom because they want to meet Blaze, the
third Sandwing sister, who just is the epitome of like, I'm beautiful and brainless.
Fashion queen.
Yeah. No brains. No brain cells.
Nope. So basically they go and meet Blaze. They're on a mission to rescue the missing Rainwings, and they figure that maybe Blaze is kidnapping them. And they find Jambu there, actually.
Yeah, well, Jambu goes with them, doesn't
he? No, Jambu flies ahead, and they're like chasing him.
Oh, yeah. And
then they get there, and Jambu's like cowering in the corner of Blaze's throne room, not knowing what to do.
Poor Jambu. He also has no brain cells.
Yeah, I mean, the two of them combined are just like,
ooh, nothing there, nothing up there.
So, while they're on their way, they take rest for a night as they're entering the Ice Kingdom, because Blaze lives in the Ice Kingdom under the watchful eye of Queen Glacier. Basically, Queen Glacier runs the show, and Blaze is just there to be a sister of the Sandwings.
Yeah.
They're flying there, and Glory notices this dark figure in the snow. And
she's like, what's that?
Decides to go fly out and see what it is. Who it is. So the Rainwings can shift the colors of their scales, so she impersonates a Icewing.
Yeah.
Specifically the one she killed in the first book.
Yes, because she didn't have any other
Icewing names.
Yeah, she didn't know, what else Icewings looked like, so she was trying to emulate that dragon. And I mean, she does a pretty good job, but it's really hard to emulate like literal spikes of ice on your body.
So she's flying out and lands in front of this Nightwing and spooks him, trying to be like all Icewingy and haughty and important.
And he has got all the charisma, and he's just like, what are you doing here? And she's like, you're in my kingdom, and he's like, you're actually not, we're not actually in the Ice Kingdom yet, we're like on the border.
So the thing is that
he knows more about the Ice Kingdom than she does.
Yes.
So he can pretty much tell that she's not actually an Icewing.
No. So Deathbringer is a Nightwing assassin.
Yeah, and he's been all around Pyrea, so he's seen probably inside all of the kingdoms.
He knows right off the bat. She ain't Nightwing.
No.
So Glory is talking to Deathbringer. How do you know they were there, in reference to the Dragonettes in the Sea Kingdom? Glory. So, how do you know they were there? Glory asked. Oh wait, I forgot. Nightwings are all-knowing, all-seeing, and all-brilliant, right? And don't forget, all wonderful and all handsome, he said. She snorted to cover her laugh.
Oh my god. We quote that all the time.
We do. But that is the beginning of their budding relationship, and then the next time they meet, Glory tries to kill Deathbringer.
Great start to a relationship.
He attacks Blaze.
It's like kind of an enemies to lovers trope, and like it's
but not really.
Not really, because they weren't really enemies, but like they had to pretend to be enemies. Deathbringer is pretty
enamored at this point.
Yeah, they're just so cute. And honestly, most of their relationship, like, I know that Glory like loves him, but most of their relationship is just him like incessantly annoying and frustrating her, and her being like, please fuck off. Like that's the entire our relationship. So this is why we, constantly are like, oh, we're just those characters, because their relationship and their personalities are like simpatico. Stop! Jesus.
This book contains a lot.
Yeah.
Like, of all of the books, this one's, like, information dense.
Yeah.
So far we've been in the Rain Kingdom, we've met her brother. We've been in the Ice Kingdom, we've met Blaze and Deathbringer, and then Blaze almost got killed, and then Deathbringer almost got killed, and then Deathbringer escapes. And then we go back to the rainforest, and there's still these missing rain wings, because there's like 18 of them. Basically, there's these 18 missing rain wings, and like, where'd they go?
Where are they?
And they find these weird, like, tunnel things. There are these Animus enchanted tunnels that they use to get to the Sand Kingdom from the rainforest, which is a lot shorter.
Yeah.
But, Glory is out investigating one day, snooping around, trying to figure it out, when, she gets kidnapped.
Oh, God.
And dragged back to the Night Kingdom on a volcano.
The secret Night Kingdom that we discover is under a volcano.
Yes. And while we're there, Glory meets
Kinkajou, who is... I don't even know how to describe her.
a ball of sunshine.
Yes. But, like, annoying, but also so cute and just silly. And
One of those characters that, with every shred of your soul, you want to be annoyed with, but you just can't because they're adorable.
And she ends up being a key player in Arc 2. But in this one, she's just really obsessed with Glory. And when Glory becomes queen, Kinkajou just, like, rubs it in everyone's face of just, like, I'm friends with the queen!
Yeah, so basically, when Glory goes to the Night Kingdom, she finds all of the missing dragons. And finds out
Kinkajou is one of the missing dragons.
That, the Night Wings ain't so gracious hosts.
No, they were mean.
And so she manages to escape the Nightwing Kingdom.
Yeah.
Go back to the rainforest and be like, yeah, no, we gotta do something about this. And the queen of...
Which, mind you, no one has cared except for, like, one
dragon.
Rain Wing. Everyone else is like, we have enough Rain Wings. Don't worry about those.
Magnificent is the current queen of the rotations. And she's just like, nah, I'm not having it.
Yeah,
not gonna do anything. I want to go eat some more, like, fruit and stuff.
Go have my sun time.
And this makes Glory mad.
Yeah,
very mad. And Glory's like, y'all are a bunch of pansies. I can, like, totally win a challenge. Like, no doubt.
Yeah.
So she challenges Magnificent. And Magnificent's like, no, that's not how we do challenges here. You don't get to kill me. Mm-hmm. Even though everyone was really rooting for it.
Yeah.
All 5 of the Rainwing Queens have to face off against Glory, and they figure Glory's probably going to pick her friends to help her. But she ends up not. She picks a bunch of Rainwing because she kind of figures out that they're going to ask them to do Rainwing specific things.
Yeah.
So they have this competition for queenship. And the queens cheat. They cheat.
The whole time. One of them gets all of her sloths to do stuff, which is just hilarious. But basically, Glory chooses Kinkajou, Tamarin, who is blind, but she has, like, the best sense of smell, so she's able to do one of the challenges.
Yep.
So she picks Jambu to do something, which she's, like, really reluctant to do that, but, you know, she had to. So she just picks a bunch of Rain Wings and ends up winning.
It's a tie match, so it's 4-4. The queens have been cheated. They literally admitted to cheating at one point, and everyone's like, it's fine.
Very difficult.
Because one of the challenges was to collect a bunch of fruit, and the person who's in charge of stashing all of the different types of fruit away ate 3 of them.
Oh my god.
And the last challenge is the Venom spitting challenge, and this is Kinkajou versus Grandeur, and Grandure's like this really old Rainwing.
Yeah, so she's had a lot more time to practice.
And Kinkajou's kind of crap at it, even to begin with.
But Kinkajou is also a very small Dragonette, so just, like, the amount of, like, what would you even call that? Her range of, like, how far she can spit Venom is not very far. Great. And that's the point, is to, like, hit a target that's far away.
Yes.
So it's like,
accurately,
not good.
So Grandeur handily wins the first part. And it's not looking so hot. And Kinkajou's all upset. Basically, in the last part, Grandure's about to go and, you know, beat Kinkajou, pretty much. And they're shooting Venom at a canvas of sorts, like a leaf or whatever it was. And a sloth falls and is about to fall in the way of what Grandure's going to spit. and Kinkajou jumps into the way.
Oh, poor Kinkajou.
And ends up getting hit with Granger's Venom, which is bad.
Very bad. Her wing is just like sizzle.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
And just instinctively, Glory ends up trying to, because when they, like we said in the, when they find out if they're related to each other, they spit venom on each other's venom, and if it cancels it out, that's how they can treat venom wounds.
Yeah.
So Glory tries it, just to try, pretty much, and trying everyone, and turns out that Glory and Granger's venom cancel each other out, so Granger and Glory are related.
They don't really say how, but like...
Well, they don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to figure that they're not all related to each other at this point.
It's a little weird.
But basically, Granger then says, I concede. And this makes...
they are related, so she figures,
well,
fine.
It's not just that they're related, but Granger, before the kind of collective queenship happened, Granger was one of the original Rainwing queens, back when the Rainwings were kind of more of a formidable force.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, this one knows what she's doing.
Right, and they can get the Rainwings back to some semblance of...
Not caring anymore.
Yeah.
So it's 3-2, Glory wins.
Yeah.
Kinkajou is alright in the end.
Yes.
But,
Kinkajou gets hurt a lot.
Poor
baby.
She does, really, though. Like, she's almost died, like, 4 times.
Yeah. Poor baby.
The book kind of concludes with Glory being like, we're gonna go raid the Nightwing Kingdom and get the dragons back. Which is a perfect segue into book 4.
It was about at this point that we realized that this video was going to be excessively long, so I have decided to split it up into 2 parts. Stay tuned for part 2 that will be coming out next week. I'm sorry to leave you on a cliffhanger, but this was about 2 hours of footage to cut down, so yeah.
Feel free to subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.